What's up, guys? This is Ball Sports. I got another episode for you. First of all, I want to say thank you to everybody who gives me a view, subscribes to my channel, and likes and comments on everything I drop. It goes a long way, and it's much appreciated. I got a couple topics that I'm going to discuss today. One is the NBA Finals. I got the boxing match that happened this weekend, and then I got a little bit of football at the end that I'm going to discuss. Um, this weekend we had the Anthony Joshua versus Andy Ruiz fight. Anthony Joshua was 22-0 coming into this fight, and Andy Ruiz was 32-1 coming into this fight. And if you didn't see it, you got to see that the guy with the big muscles didn't win this weekend. Andy Ruiz knocked down Joshua 4 times in 7 rounds. It only ended up going, it was a 7th round TKO due to the referee stoppage. Ruiz won the power punches connected also 39-23. So he landed 16 more power punches than Joshua throughout the whole fight. So it just kind of shows you what was going on there. Joshua was having a hard time connecting with Ruiz. Also, Ruiz had a lot of good head movement going on, and he definitely looked like a way better fighter out there. Glad to see him return into pure form. Joshua only hit him 7 times out of 25 per round on average, so that tells you right there. He had a hard time hitting a big guy who doesn't really move that fast. The head movement was just on point that day. We'll move on to where we got the NBA Finals. Game 1, the Raptors won 118-109. Game 2, the Warriors won 109-104. The series is tied 1-1 at the moment. Draymond Green, he was short of a triple-double last night. In Game 1, he did have a triple-double. Curry finished with 34, and Klay had 21. Kawhi had 23, 8, and 5. Pascal Siakam had 32 points, which wasn't expected of him. I'm not sure what he averaged throughout the year, but he's definitely been showing out in the playoffs and stepping up for the Raptors and giving them another key guy off the bench, especially with Kyle Lowry struggling. In game 1 also, Danny Green was hitting big shots down the stretch. He only finished with 11 points, but he had a lot of shots down the stretch that kept them in that game and eventually got them the win. We'll move on to Game 2. Draymond, again, had a good game, 17, 10, and 9. Curry and Klay had 23 and 25. Cousins with 11, 10, and 6. Cousins off the bench. Or no, I think he started. He's still fighting that injury, so it's good to see him still continuing to go and make big plays for them and still grab 10 rebounds. That was nice to see him to get big down low and take advantage of some of the smaller matchups he has down there. In Game 2, Van Vliet had 17 points, which he's off the bench. Kyle Lowry, their starting shooting guard, only had 13 points. Lowry's been struggling a lot in this playoffs and hasn't really gave Kawhi much help. He showed up every other game, but he hasn't done it consistently enough, and Kawhi needs him to be more. That's why they lost Game 2. I think this series goes 6 games with Golden State still winning. As much as I want to see the Raptors win, I don't see it happening. Golden State's been catching fire. Curry's been shooting his arms off, and he's been hitting. I think he was sick last night, and he still had 23 points. So it goes to show you that Curry's one of the greatest scorers of all time. Klay Thompson went down with an injury last night. I'm not sure what it was to. I think it was to an ankle or something like that, or maybe a thigh. I see him to be back, in a game if he even misses next game. I think Klay Thompson will be back. We've seen him play with worse injuries, so he'll be back. And he's not really a drive and take contact type of person either. Anyways, he's just kind of a quick shoot person. So a leg injury shouldn't affect him too much because he doesn't really have to use them a lot because he's just shooting most of the time. I got a couple topics. Hopefully I can get some feedback on. The first one will be, where does Anthony Davis end up? Does he end up in LA? Does he go to Boston? If Kyrie leaves, I don't see him going to Boston. most likely scenario, I see him in LA. I think LA will finally make the move for him. Talking about the Lakers also. I think the Lakers will definitely make a move for him. If it isn't this offseason, if it's by the trade deadline next season, I think Anthony Davis ends up being a Laker sometime next season. So that'll be a good prediction to see if that happens, where Anthony Davis ends up. He's still got another year on his contract, so worst come to worst, he's at least going to have to play in New Orleans for another year before he goes to free agency. Speaking of free agency, we got a couple of NBA superstars that are going to be in free agency, whether they have a player option or they're an unrestricted free agent. We got KD with the player option. He always signs 1 year plus 1 year. KD will probably opt out and try to get a big contract. I don't know if KD will leave, and if he does leave, I honestly don't know where it'll be. I want to say maybe New York or something like that. But I honestly don't know where KD will go. I think he'll be fine wherever he goes. As much as I don't like him, I think KD will be perfectly fine wherever he goes. He'll probably average 25 and 5 in his sleep like he usually does. We got Kawhi with the player option, which with him going this far with Toronto, I think he'll sign back with Toronto, but not 100% sure on that. But with them going to the NBA Finals, that was definitely a good first year. The city seems to really embrace him. They love him down in Toronto. I know they have a mural of the game-winning shot he hit against the Sixers. They have a mural of that in downtown Toronto. So definitely shows you how much they've embraced Kawhi down there. We got Kyrie, who plays for Boston. He has a player option. I see Kyrie opting out too also. I don't know where Kyrie will play, but I definitely see Kyrie opting out. I don't think he's happy in Boston. We got Klay Thompson also. Klay Thompson's an unrestricted free agent, so that means he's not under contract after this year, so he'll be able to go and do what he wants as he pleases. Whether he actually leaves or not will be dependent on whether the Warriors offer him a good contract or not, but I think Klay is stuck to Golden State. I think he wants to be in Golden State, and I don't see him going anywhere else. But if he does, I think he will be fine, just like KD. I think Klay will make his way wherever he goes. Kemba Walker, he has a player option. He can opt in or he can opt out. I think Kemba leaves, and I think Kemba might go to LA. Not 100% sure, but I think him and LeBron would be a good match. Would be a good fit. If Kyrie doesn't go back to LA, but Kemba will definitely be a good fit. He hasn't had a good team for a long time. He's been kind of an underrated point guard for a long period of time. So it'd be nice to see him to get some more people around him and see what he could actually do with a good all-star team. The last one we got is DeMarcus Cousins. He's an unrestricted free agent. I think Boogie will go somewhere. It's kind of hard to tell because he's really played everywhere. I don't know if he'll get the max contract like he wants, especially with all the injuries he's been taking. But Boogie will be a good fit, and he's still got some good years left in him. But with all the injuries he's been taking here recently, it isn't looking too good for him. I got another topic I want to bring up. They were talking about blowing up the Rockets, basically trading anyone, including Chris Paul, Clint Capella, anybody on that Rockets team, and basically restarting from scratch or just restarting with James Harden. I read in a couple articles that they said a trade including James Harden is almost impossible. So James Harden's going to be a Rocket for a long time. Now, whether they can get Chris Paul and deal him to a different team with, I think Chris Paul's getting paid $35 million next year. If they can deal him to a different team, they'll definitely have a better chance of winning an NBA championship than I think. Chris Paul is getting way overpaid, and his production is not met up to his contract. And I think in 2 years, on the back end of his deal, he'll be getting paid $40 million a year, and it's just not going to be worth it. He's getting too old. He's definitely a good fit, and it's not that he's not a good fit on the Rockets, but you can't win it with two little men. Chris Paul and James Harden, that's two little guys. They have Clint Capella down low, but the little guys haven't been able to pull it off for a long time. There's never really been any point guard and shooting guard combo that's really won a championship that I can think of off the top of the head like that, at least in my era. So we'll have to see what happens with that. I definitely think they should trade Chris Paul and keep James Harden, but we'll have to see how that goes. Well, that's the end of the podcast, guys. It was a little bit longer than I expected, but thanks everybody for tuning in. If you got to the end, leave me a like, comment, and make sure you subscribe to the channel, and I'll be back next week. Thanks, guys.